What are the Braves going to do with Brian Snitker? In case you've been living under a rock for the past few years, the Braves are a really good baseball team. Or at least they have been since around 2018, which was Snitker's second full season as Atlanta's manager. Coincidence? I think so, but coming into 2024, the Braves were the betting favorites to not only defend their division title for the 7th straight year, but to go deeper into the playoffs than the previous years. Which brings us to today, early September 2024, where the Braves are not only not the NL East division leaders, but they are currently in a tightly contested battle for the last National League wildcard spot. With less than a month left in the season, this has Braves fans beginning to ask some questions, with one of them being, what are the Braves going to do with Brian Snitker? Well, I believe there's a few different ways this could work out. Let's remember that Snitker also has one more year on his contract, so he's technically under contract for another year. But let's just go over the easy scenarios first. The Braves miss the playoffs, Snitker's gone. I don't see this happening, but without a doubt, in my opinion, if the Braves miss the playoffs, I do believe that'll be the end of Snitker's career in Atlanta. Now, on the flip side, what if the Braves win the World Series this year? It doesn't seem very likely at this point, but if they can just get into the playoffs, they have the ability to get hot and go on a run. The Braves still have a very good team, and if they can just make it to the playoffs, anything can happen. But in that scenario, would the Braves be bold enough to replace Snitker fresh after a World Series win? To my knowledge, that has never happened in baseball history before, and in my opinion, it would be a little weird to not let them just ride out that last season if they won the World Series, especially since that World Series win would be without Acuna or Strider. But Snitker could also want to just ride off into the sunset with that second World Series win under his belt, and leave on an unexpected high instead of a potential low. But who knows? I mean, obviously this is the most ideal scenario, and like I said, it's one of the easier ones for the Braves to determine Snitker's future on. But now let's get to the bread and butter of this video, the meat and potatoes, the real nitty gritty. Let's talk about everything in between, which basically means that the Braves make the playoffs but don't win the World Series. And this is just objectively the most likely scenario. If I was Anthopoulos in this situation, during the offseason, I'd go to Snitker and politely ask him to retire. In my opinion, that would be the best option for everyone. Now, if Snitker refuses to retire, I can see how it would be difficult to fire him, considering the success he's had in Atlanta. I mean, would you fire him if you were Anthopoulos? Snitker has always had a large following, not only with his players, but with the fan base as well. But baseball and life in general right now, it's all about what have you done for me lately. And I just think anything less than a division title or a World Series ring is not what most Braves fans had in mind after last year's 104-win season. Now, there's the argument that his team this year has dealt with a lot of injuries, and that's very valid as they lost last year's MVP in Ronald Acuna Jr. and one of the best pitchers in baseball in Spencer Strider for basically the entire year. Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Michael Harris II, Sean Murphy, and others have seen extended IL stints this season to go along with career down years from basically everyone in the lineup who's not named Ozuna from the Braves. But the counter argument to that is that the Braves still have a very good team, even despite all of those injuries. And one of the biggest criticisms of Snitker, besides his bullpen management, has been that he's really only won when he's had teams that have had historic lineups and rotations. And now that it's not a historic lineup or rotation, but still a very good one, they may end up missing the playoffs entirely. This has started to set off some alarm bells among fans in Atlanta. Like I said, if I was Anthopoulos, I'd be looking to make a move in the dugout this offseason. And it'll be interesting regardless to see who the next Braves manager will be, as there's only been 3 different Braves managers in the past 34 years in Brian Snitker, Fredi Gonzalez, and Bobby Cox. Let's not forget, Anthopoulos was an outside hire himself who never got to put his own manager in the dugout. Whenever Snitker does finally retire, I could see Anthopoulos going with a new manager from outside the organization, but the Braves' way is certainly to find someone from within. But what do you think about all of this? Do you think the Braves should keep Snitker? Any suggestions on who should replace him? Be sure to comment down below with your thoughts. And as always, I hope you all have a wonderful day.